What?
Mayor's Association.
Yeah, but I won't be, so what you mean?
Just to announce it. It's tomorrow, 10 a.m. Council chamber.
Yeah, but you run lead on that, so you're the no poacher.
We already. She doesn't have to.
Good morning, everyone. You're the no poacher. Like to welcome everyone here to our committee meeting. And Othel, would you lead us in the word of prayer?
Sure. Most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day that you've given us, Lord. We just ask that you watch over us, lead us and guide us, and protect us, Lord. Just everything that we do and we say and everything commissioners do and they say, we pray that they're pleasing in your sight, Lord. We love you and we praise you for all the many blessings. In Jesus Christ's name we pray.
Amen. Amen. I guess Commissioner Scale probably be a little late today. If we will go backwards in the order, Joe, is that all right? Is that all right with you? Commissioner, is that okay with you? If we go backwards? Oh, well, what would you rather do? You want to begin with you? We'll begin with you then. All right, we'll begin with you.
Good morning. And happy Equal Pay Day for women today. Our color is red. I just wanted to make that announcement.
What day?
I had to put out the HR.
What was that day? What day?
Equal Pay Day for women.
Equal pay. Well, I think it's just equal.
No, equal pay.
Equal pay.
Today is dedicated for us to make sure we have equal pay.
I thought I saw where it just said equal pay day. I didn't hear the women's part, but that's okay.
Of women.
All right.
You didn't know that, President?
I did know that.
Okay.
I thought those were the battles we was fought.
No, we ain't going.
Okay.
It's still on the pocket, baby.
All right.
We're closing the gap.
Okay. HR said we're closing the gap. That's what I'm talking about. Good morning, everyone. I'm with Community Development and Human Resources Services Committee, and we have Arnika.
Good morning, Commissioner. I apologize for being on dress code. Next time.
Well, that's a shade of red.
It is a diluted shade. We only have one agenda item. It is a renewal contract for Dr. Paul O'Leary. He is our psychiatrist, serves for our mental health unit at Cleveland University Health Services.
I move it. Second.
It's been first and second. Item 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passed. Department of Community Service and Workforce Development.
Good morning, Commissioners. We have 5 agenda items this morning. The first one is with 815 Management Company, LLC, for a rental assistance agreement in the amount of $4,320. This particular participant is on disability and had some unexpected expenses, and she's been approved for Section 8, which should allow her rent to go down. But in her situation, she cannot work. The next one is for 44 Forest Dale, doing business as Park. That's the park at Forestdale. This particular lady was working for Virginia College, and got caught up in them losing their accreditation and lost her job, and she had some expenses that allowed her to get in a situation where she couldn't be evicted from her rental apartment. And again, this is in the amount of $6,765. Number 3 and 4 are related to environmental requirements that we have to meet on all of our projects. This one is, the first one, I'm sorry, is the finding of no significant impact, basically just saying that this project will not have a negative impact on the environment. And that authorizes the commission chair to sign that form. And then if there's no comments or negative comments from the public, then we publish the request for release of funds, which will allow us to receive the funds from HUD and move the project forward. The 5th item is a resolution proclaiming Fair Housing Month, April 2019 for the Jefferson County area.
Move on to 5. I'll second.
Dr. Hamilton, how many more of these rental assistance agreements are there out there that's at $5,000 and $6,000 and $7,000 at a clip?
To be honest with you, I can't tell you. It's come first. It's on a basis need, and of course, this is one of our 3 funding sources from HUD, and we're required to serve these people as they come to us. And so, if they meet the qualifications of the program, we're obligated to fund them. But I can't really give you a number on how many more.
How does one apply for that?
Basically, it's marketed through 211, which is United Way, one group, which is the Continuum of Care that deals with the homeless population, and then there's information on our website. So basically what happens is when they're referred to us, we have them come in, we do case management on them, find out what's the cause of the situation, and be able to show that they have the capacity to get back on their feet and meet the qualifications and move forward.
And I can say it's $40,000, so if we don't use it, we lose it. But this is something that is that will stop you from becoming homeless. These people, like the lady that got laid off from Virginia College, if she didn't have any support system besides unemployment, she would be end up probably being homeless. And the one that was sick and applied for disability, and if you have never been in that condition, you will know that applying for disability sometimes is a 2 to 3 year wait, and you got to have some type of support. If not, they will be homeless also. So I would, and it only really serves people like that. You can't be in Birmingham to be served.
That's correct.
Especially like in the outer areas, Forestdale, Leeds.
Yes, that's correct. And I would say that one of the ladies is from Forestdale and the other lady's from South Point.
Yes.
And let me just add one more thing. You know, what the government is trying to do with this program is prevent us from having to use other governmental assistance programs to help these people.
Well, it just seems like it would be some kind of earlier intervention than wait until somebody, because, you know, these people are getting their rent paid, but somebody's benefiting from it, whoever's doing the rental. I mean, that's who's benefiting from it. Okay, that's my comments.
Okay, items 1 through 5 have been first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it passed. I have no further.
Administrative and Infrastructure Committee. Records show that Commissioner Scales is now with us at 9:14. Roads and Transportation Warehouse Equipment Supply is a purchase and installation of a new rolling service door for the maintenance shop. On number 2, we have permission to condemn Track 2, furnishing and installation of the Prescott Concrete Bridge on Deer Haven Road. Permission to condemn Track 4 and 5, the 2016 project AMP09 Centerpoint, 5th Street Northwest. Payment for Track 11 of Topics 8, Site 3. I don't know what that is. And payment for Track 27 of Topics 8, Site 3 also. Those two
Where are
the ongoing.
This intersection project improvements and it's a federal aid, ALDOT covering the cost on the right-of-way.
Where are these? Do you know offhand?
Yeah, I've got that, I think, Commissioner. 1 second.
Is that the one?
So track 11, well, we don't have the road name, I believe it's Columbiana. Crosshaven Drive, that's it, in Vestavia. We're basically widening Crosshaven to get
Is
extra turn
this
lane.
associated with that long-term grant?
Oh, yeah. Finally got the right-of-way map done and moving forward with getting the right-of-way. Okay, that was track number 11. Track 27 is Green Valley Road in Vestavia. So there, I think it's the intersection of Green Valley and Crosshaven. One project.
He's been on the books a long time.
We're
I know it.
getting, we're getting,
I know that.
we're
I'm glad to
getting-
see it moving forward.
we're getting close.
Okay, we have ALDOT courtesy notification of project number NH0075, 535 State Road 75 resurfacing. This is just a courtesy notification for resurfacing, planning, striping, and leveling, widening, and patching of that particular highway. Payment for track 4, Galleria Boulevard extension. Glad to see that's ongoing too, as much needed. And MCI Metro, which is Verizon, right-of-way agreement for placing fiber optics on there.
When they do these right away, like for Verizon and putting their fiber, are they cutting the roads or they're just in the right of way on the side?
Both. It could be cutting the road, but they would have to get a permit from us and meet our standards. We would inspect it.
Okay.
Chairman, entertain a motion 1 through 8.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. County Attorney, resolution, excess workers' compensation policy, resolution authorizing payment of additional premiums for the county's excess workers' compensation policy for a period ending 10/1/18 be the audit results.
It's pretty much speaks for itself.
Pretty much
It speaks for itself.
I move item 1 and 2 on the minutes.
1 and 2 have been moved,
Second.
and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I believe, Mr. Martin had one other item or something else?
Yes, sir. I have some good news. The Jefferson County Commission Infrastructure Grant Program, we got an agreement with Fairfield to do some patching on their roads. Commissioner Scales' staff brought me the signed agreement this morning. So it's been through the process. It's in the system. We were really waiting on their signature. So with y'all's permission, we'll go forward with that after today. And it's patching on a lot of different roads, not any one particular road, but it should help them out a lot. And the other grant is for the city of Lipscomb. Verbally, we got their agreement, but they vote tonight. It's been through the process. It's at Tony's door, but we're waiting on their signature. So with y'all's permission, if they actually sign the agreement tonight, we would like to move forward with that one as well.
Can I make a statement first?
Second.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This has been a long time waiting for this. It's a $60,000 grant, that will pay, some roads. But altogether, it's over $300,000 worth of paving. It will pay 15th Street, it will pay the whole street. They will actually dig all the way up to the dirt and start from scratch when they pave 15th Street, 5th Street, and Avenue K. So, when I say excited, this area is very excited. And they will also have, we will do this every year. They will apply for grants. I will put up funding, and they will put up the funding that they need out of their gas tax in order to accomplish something. So hopefully in 4 years, we were gonna actually try to put a dent in the problem.
Sounds great. Now, do we need these two additional items to make an informed motion for commission approval? I would think so.
I moved it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Pending it goes through the process of consolidation.
as they go through the process.
Right.
All
What
in
did you
favor,
say?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Tyson, you had 15th Street, 5th Street, and which one?
And Avenue K, but they
Okay.
even have some little off-pocket roads, that actually have, that
Okay.
the citizens have access going to their houses.
Okay.
So they're gonna pave those roads too. That's with this $60,000 grant funding. So we getting really, in that area, we're getting a lot of pavement.
Yeah,
And thank you so much, Cal.
You're welcome.
You have worked so hard on this, and I appreciate it, and the citizens appreciate it. When we have our picnic, we're gonna invite you.
all right.
That sounds good.
You gotta wear red though.
Yeah. Well, just for clarification, Avenue K is the through road that's been
Okay.
approved for a couple of years.
Okay, good.
It was already on the thing.
That
So we're gonna get it all while we're there. It'll work out really good. And the same in Fairfield. Thank y'all, commissioners. This is gonna be a good thing.
Good deal.
We have, I have one other item, community grant for Investment Union Service League. The amount is a pen and ink change, it should be $5,000.
Okay.
Provide funding for the spring fundraiser, provide scholarship for graduating high school students in the area.
Move it.
It's, goes along very scheduled vote. Motion second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.
Would you like to,
I'll
You
give
got
you
that.
do your,
Well,
you gotta go ahead.
you don't even know what I'm not gonna do. I had something as it relates to under the sheriff, because it seems like there's been a lot of talk lately. I want to get a understanding, be done and dispense of this once for all. So you'd like for me to bring it up on my report?
No, that's fine. We'll go back to that and we'll reopen that and you have a comment about the sheriff.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is in regards to bingo. I've gotten several calls this morning, and I want us, and even over the weekend, I know that the county attorney, he chimed in on a comment that was made on Facebook. And so that being the case, I want to know, where do we stand legally, so it's on the record here, and we can dispense of this once and for all, and basically what is going to be our position as a commission. I know that the sheriff approached myself. I don't know what other commissioners that he approached as well, but nevertheless, as it relates to support for bingo, and I know it's the difference between paper and electronic. But I just found it very interesting. I was part of a meeting last night, and one of the contenders in this race who lied on a radio show this morning said that I had a position on it. I don't have a legal position personally. But nevertheless, they said that they were issuing out bingo licenses in their district, or not in their district, but in their city. So that being the case, I want to know, and obviously this city is in the corporate limits of Jefferson County. So what is our take on this whole bingo bill?
So-
I would suggest that the county attorney do that. I think each commissioner will have an opinion that I would welcome.
No, that's what I'm talking about, the official position
The
of
official
this.
position
Yeah,
would be-
No opinion.
So I can give the history lesson of the current state of bingo is that currently Constitutional Amendment 386 authorizes bingo in Jefferson County subject to rules and regulations promulgated by either the county or the governing body of a municipality. So that being said, municipalities within Jefferson County have the authority to promulgate rules regarding bingo. Anything in unincorporated Jefferson County would be rules that would be promulgated by the Jefferson County Commission. And there was a lawsuit that was, I guess it was in 16, 17, anyhow. There at one point was a local act that authorized the sheriff to promulgate rules and regulations on bingo. That was declared unconstitutional. That authority is delegated to the governing bodies of the various cities or the county. So that is the legal status of bingo.
Hold on, Mr. President. I want to make sure I got what you said. So in short, if it is within a municipality, they have the authority to be able to grant licenses. If it is within unincorporated Jefferson County, then this body will, by way of a resolution or whatever, it will determine if it is legal or not. Am I correct? That's what
correct.
I'm hearing?
You would have to promulgate rules. The county would have to promulgate rules.
So
for
in
any
other
bingo
words,
in
it's not
Jefferson County.
illegal if, say for example, we know that Graysville, Midfield, and some other folk have started giving licenses. So are we saying that that's legal or illegal because they're their own municipality?
The constitutional amendment authorizes those cities to promulgate their rules regarding bingo within their municipalities.
Okay. So then it's not illegal.
Well,
Okay.
That part is
That
the
it
cities
is
have
illegal.
the cities have the authority to promulgate rules and regulations regarding bingo.
Well, and I think what the argument's gonna come down to be, is this bingo or is this a machine that's not bingo? Now, that's something we don't decide, that's been decided by the Supreme Court.
The Constitution aauthorises bingo, and
Right.
that's what the Act speaks to.
Right. So,
And the
so what is
Supreme
bingo? You know, is it a bunch of, well,
And the Supreme Court ruled that bingo is a game that is played on paper against others in a room. And that electronic bingo, now this is what I've interpreted, if it's wrong, please tell me. That electronic bingo is not legal in the state of Alabama.
What it is
Yes
said.
or no is all I-
What it said is that gambling, anything that's other than the paper bingo at this
Anything that's
juncture
other than paper bingo is
has been held to be illegal. The constitutional amendment speaks to bingo.
Okay. So there you go. So, and the problem we have here is that we have municipal ordinances that are attempting to circumvent state law. It's all right for a municipal ordinance to be more restrictive than state law, but there's no provisions for it to be less restrictive than state law. And as far as this commission, we don't have a position on it, or I don't, except that I understand that it is illegal. So, that's my position.
So then I'm going back to the county attorney. I want to make sure, because I don't want to twist your arm into giving me an answer. I just want the legal answer. You the lawyer. So, okay, so then the difference is if we're talking about paper bingo versus electronic bingo, that gives the authority to local municipalities, because I've been hearing ever since I've been here that the county is different. And so we have to abide by state law or laws. I get that point. But I was also informed that municipalities have their own sphere of governance, that they can do certain things that we by law cannot do. So I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly, because if I'm asked about this in a setting, I want to give what is the legal answer to that question.
So the legal answer is from your county attorney that advises the county.
Right.
Is that the constitutional amendment speaks to bingo, and that is Constitutional Amendment 386. Constitutional Amendment 386 allows counties or municipalities to promulgate rules related to bingo, because otherwise, absent that constitutional amendment, gambling would be illegal in the state of Alabama. So that is the exception based on that constitutional amendment, which is 386.
So in other words, they can have electronic bingo if that city ordinance has a provision in
The
it.
constitutional amendment speaks to bingo. It doesn't speak to anything other than bingo.
Right.
And that's the constitutional amendment that authorizes bingo.
Okay, so then is that kind of ambiguous in the law in terms of if it's not stated, is implied?
What I'm going to say, Commissioner, is that as the county attorney,
You should.
I don't
advise
advise municipalities, but what I would say is that the constitutional amendment which authorizes bingo in Jefferson County is subject to rules promulgated by the governing bodies of either those cities or the county commission. That's what the constitutional amendment says.
Now, county attorney, define bingo.
Well, Jimmy, you can let me finish.
No, I know, he knows exactly what I'm doing.
I know exactly what you're doing
Well,
and he's doing
let's-
too, but
well, let's-
I want the
But
public to know what we're doing.
What I will do is on Thursday, I will bring the appropriate case that
Okay.
addresses that. But I can recite Constitutional Amendment 386 as it relates to Jefferson County like the back of my hand.
We've been through this a couple of times.
Well, the reason why I'm saying this, Mr. President, respectfully, is because what this is doing is placing the sheriff in too much conversation, in my humble opinion, that I believe is negative about the sheriff's intent. And I'm hearing too many stories around certain things, whether it be having a relative that has one and all that other stuff. I just want to know what is the law. And if the law basically for the portion of municipalities and they are allowed to have it, then I think that we have to be very cautious of the statements that we make so that we're giving only what the law states and nothing more. Because for some reason, I don't know why this is taking on such a state interest. I'll be honest with you. And that has really been very fascinating to me, that out of all the issues that we have with Jefferson County, this one seems to be the one that even the state attorney general wants to get involved with. So that's why I wanted to know what was the position that we should be speaking in terms of in public meetings and public settings. And again, I just wanted to say this, Mr. President. Did the sheriff speak to you about the purpose behind the bingo? That what was his take on it?
I have had no direct conversations with the sheriff.
Okay. All right. Well, I know he had a conversation with myself, and from my understanding, it was basically to help fund some things that the sheriff wanted to do within his department. And when you talk about the historical value, and then I'm going to be done with this, I did want to hear the historical perspective, because it is my understanding that sheriffs prior to now actually, I don't know if it was regulated bingo or
Set the rules.
they set the rules, and I'm just trying to figure out what makes this a little different, being that this person is still the sheriff, is just another sheriff. But whatever you decide as one sheriff should apply to all sheriffs.
There was a local act, and that was Local Act 609.
Okay.
Local Act 609 was specific to Jefferson County at the time, and that local
Are
act,
we talking about this was a local bill of the state?
this is a local act.
All right,
This is a
local act.
local act that was in effect.
Okay.
And that local act authorized the sheriff to promulgate rules and regulations related to bingo, to include administrative fees and those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
That local act was challenged in court.
Okay.
The case is, Shorba Lee was the plaintiff, and I think it's versus Mike Hale, Brandon Falls, and other folks that were in office at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, the court said in that case that local act was unconstitutional because the local act could not trump a constitutional amendment. And the constitutional amendment authorized the municipalities or the governing bodies to promulgate rules and regulations, and so the local act could not supersede that constitutional amendment and allow that to happen. So previously, in Act 609, which was declared unconstitutional, the sheriff did have the authority to promulgate rules and regulations related to bingo.
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. Local Act 609 originally gave the sheriff basically discretion in terms of whatever rules and regulations
That's
regarding
correct.
bingo. Okay, and then is that Amendment 386?
Constitutional Amendment 386 and 609 were passed at about the same time.
All right, and so 386 basically says that the sheriff, or it was declared unconstitutional for, say it to
No.
me. That's why I want to get it right.
All right. So gambling
Even
is
the media needs to get it right today, because I'm sure this is going to be
gambling
one of
is
them big
generally
stories.
illegal in the state of Alabama, except
All
for
right.
a constitutional amendment.
All right,
Constitutional Amendment 386 is an amendment to the Constitution that allowed charitable bingo, which otherwise would be an exception to gambling. At the same time, Constitutional Amendment 386 was passed, a local act was passed, that was Act 609. Act 609 authorized the sheriff to promulgate rules and regulations related to bingo. The problem is Act 386 authorized, said that governing bodies promulgate rules and regulations related to bingo. So the challenge was that 609 was unconstitutional because it superseded the constitutional authority of 386. So 386 remains and 609 does not. 386 says that rules and regulations governing charitable bingo will be promulgated by the governing body. And that's where we are today.
but let me make sure that I define that again. You said, but that is paper bingo only, that's not electronic bingo.
The
And it probably
Constitution,
didn't address it 'cause at the time there
Constitution,
wasn't a
the constitutional
electronic bingo.
amendment says bingo.
Okay? And whatever constitutes bingo,
It
whether it be
addresses-
electronic or paper.
it addresses bingo. There have been cases subsequent to that, and since I was asked about those, I'll provide those on Thursday. But I can speak to the local act and constitutional amendment 386. And so that is the current state of things as it relates to the Constitution and bingo.
I like the way you put that. Because you're not saying it, but you're implying it, and I'm hopefully getting what you're implying, because
No,
if gambling...
no implication, no implication.
Well,
No
okay.
implication, the statement of the law, no implication.
Okay, well, but the law seems to be a little ambiguous right here, but it absolutely seems like it is not illegal for municipal bodies to be able to do bingo. And probably the law was written at a time when electronic bingo was not an issue or probably even relevant. So it only addressed what was being done at that time. So that being the case, bingo is bingo, whether it's electronic or paper. And that's what I'm asking you mean.
That
And
very question was asked
and
to the
again-
Supreme Court. That very question was asked to the Supreme Court.
The county
And how
attorney
did
doesn't
they rule?
advise, the county attorney's office does not advise municipalities. So I would
I
suggest,
get it.
I would suggest,
Because the
I
question
can
came up, so
recite.
was it legal? They don't know if it's legal or not in terms of them issuing licenses, but they would just proceed to do that because they haven't been told anything differently, okay?
I would suggest that they seek the advice of their city attorneys.
Well, but if they're issuing licenses, I would probably think that their city attorney have advised them to do so. Otherwise, I wouldn't think that they would risk being sued for bingo. Okay. But I know that they've had Mr. President on television about it, and then there's been so much talk about it, I felt like the committee meeting, not the commission meeting, was the place to go ahead and dispense this. And it's been very informative, Mr. County Attorney, and that's what I'll be saying moving forward. But I mean, you know, it doesn't matter what my personal opinion is, it's what the law states, and that seems to be what the issue is. Okay.
And, thank you, Theo.
Bingo
I think you danced around that pretty well.
Well, Theo want to make sure that he don't offend anyone. So I like the way he danced around it, but he
Theo.
said
He didn't
he
dance
did
around
enough
it, he
dancing
answered
while
the
he was doing the jig. I still got that far.
No, he didn't dance, he answered the question.
No, he answered
He
the question,
answered
but
the question.
He didn't give you the answer
But he
you
hasn't
wanted, but
answered
he
the one
answered the
that I
question.
asked yet. He's gonna do that Thursday, right?
I will provide the
Well,
most
just long
recent
as-
cases on that.
Mr. County
But as-
Attorney,
but
as long
as
as
a
once
lawyer-
you render your state law opinion that there's no issue behind it, like there's some sort of reprimandment, because all we need is the law.
Yeah.
And I have
Well, I
and
know,
I've
but
recited
don't
what
beat
the
him
law
up once
is.
he give you the law now. I mean, the law is the law. That's all I'm
I have
saying.
recited what the law is as it
And,
relates
but
to
you
bingo.
get what I'm saying to you,
in
Mr. County
Jefferson
Attorney, on the
County.
record. I'm saying, but we're not gonna beat you up if what you quote to us, the law, is not what we want to hear.
But you go.
The law is the law. I'm not gonna holler at him. I might be
Either
hollering
way.
at some other people, but I don't
But-
want nobody to beat him up either if all he's providing is the law. Now, the law is the law, whether we like it or not. And if we don't like it, you go to lawmakers. You don't
There you go.
fuss out your own folk. You go down to the Alabama State Legislature and say, change the law. And then if we don't like that, change the federal law, which is the Constitution. Am I correct?
This is the state constitution.
This is the state constitution. Well, then we need to be talking to those folks at the state if we don't like what our county attorney
There
does.
you go.
Okay, but just don't beat him up. That's
Not
all.
gonna- not gonna be-
And he grown and he speak for himself, but I was just saying.
You're,
I am.
here we go.
You so kind. Thank you,
I
sir.
know that.
All right. Tell others. Is that what you want me to do?
Why you didn't wear red today?
Huh?
Why you didn't wear red today?
It's Easter month. How about that? Ooh. All right, so, Public Works, Community Service, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee.
She said,
Uh,
she said, stop.
Oh, stop it. Let me see, Environmental Services, we have items 1 through 4, and I know that, 1 and 4 are ALDOT items, and then you can, Callie, you taking those? All right, so is that all of them?
That's all.
All right, so items 1 through 4.
I moved them all.
Second.
I should talk about being all the time, they get us out of here. won't it? All, it has been moved
Eventually.
and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And there's no other business other than I do want to tell everyone this morning, with regards to these through road agreements and even with the potholes and so forth, I'm very grateful last night that we finally got this done for Fairfield, but I'm also excited for Lipscomb and Brighton and everyone else who gets it done. The bottom line is that I want to thank each department for the work that you're doing. It takes law department and certainly Carol, you're doing an excellent job at what you're doing. So I just wanted to thank everyone for that. I know on Thursday, Mr. President, your good friend, Mr. Kenny, don't be surprised if he pays you a personal visit and calling you and let you know how much he's really excited about what's happening down there in Fairfield. So nevertheless, I just wanted to thank everyone for that. I think probably I have one other thing for you to sign. I'll wait until our next meeting, but I will say this very quickly. For our sewer town hall meeting, I knew after the 8th, which would be after next week, would be when we could move forward, but I haven't been hearing any swoopers and bats around that said that something else is gonna come up. So we set the date for the 29th of April. I know, Mr. Patelis, you wanted to participate, and because of that, I wanted to make sure that we were respectful to that. We have basically, we've established an account. The majority of the expenses will be with Regents Field, which is where the meeting is going to be. So the doors will open at 5 o'clock. We'll get started promptly at 6 o'clock. And 29th is on a Monday, Mr. Theo. And so we wanted to make sure that, Mr. Patelis, that you had all staff present. And we'll reach out to everyone that hopefully was involved, and certainly we would like to have, because the commission is putting this on, I'm just being the coordinator, being that this is under my committee, for all commissioners, if you would, to place it on your schedule, so that the good people of Jefferson County can have the opportunity to talk to you as well. So that is Monday, April 29th. Doors open at 5, get started at 6. It will be at Regents Field Meeting Room, 2nd floor. That's it.
How long is it gonna last?
I said 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Mr. Joe
You
Knight.
didn't say that.
I did say that. I did say that. I said that, 6 to 9 p.m.
All right, good deal.
Folks gotta get off from work, so stop it.
Thank you. You got the Easter shoes on? No.
Whatever.
She got her women equal pay shoes on.
She wearing yellow. She's in protest. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finance.
All right, let's, second.
No.
This has already been approved by the commission.
What?
This has been approved. I'll go ahead and sign it and give you a copy. Really? And we'll get it done. Right now while we're doing it.
Bless your heart. God bless you. So kind.
And I'm gonna give that to our minutes clerk. And she will make a copy and give you the original and you use which one.
Put it in the system.
Yeah. There we go.
So kind.
Commissioner Knight.
Thank you. All right, finance. Mr. Henry, you got 8 items. Anybody got any questions? Do I have a motion?
Move the items.
I have a motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Budget 1 and 2. Any questions?
I do only one, guys.
All right.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, that's
I think
one.
that, and I've spoken with one of our commissioners, well, I actually, like to bring that up. If we need $5,000, can we share it amongst our existing budget? I know I never use my entire budget, and I'll be happy to share that with our commissioners. That way we don't have to do a budget amendment. Operation budget. I've got the same budget as you do. They're all the same. $347,000. Is that right? Yeah, we all had the same budget. And,
So who's you speak to?
Commissioner Cox.
Okay.
So, besides that, I'll be happy to, whatever you need for supplies, am I correct? It's for supplies? Office supplies?
No, just the office period. So are you
Wait a
saying?
minute, wait a minute.
Well, it
What
has
does
to
that
be,
mean?
I think it has to be designated for something. It needs to have to be for salaries, or it has to be for supplies. Supplies include your copying machine.
Okay, but that wasn't my understanding.
It's commissioners, it's, the 5,000 that we're talking about here is for non-personal services. Salary is a different, number.
Okay.
But this right here is non-personal services. At the commission's discretion, once you all have your budget, which originally started at 17,000, you can move that within individual line items as you all see fit. As long as it's not,
Yeah, but I'm, so
personal
are you saying,
services.
you saying that you're willing to give up $10,000 of your money? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying I'm willing to give up what I have, or some of what I have. Everything that I can spare, I will be happy to share with you, so you will have the supplies you need to work.
Well, I don't
Now,
wanna say it's just supplies, Mr. President, but, so are we changing what we're saying now? You saying that you're willing to give up so much money and so much money out of your money? Is that what I'm hearing? And collectively, you gonna come up with $5,000 each?
And
No.
what
I'm
I,
not saying a specific number, I'm saying whatever.
No, well, what I'm saying is that we know that this particular allocation only comes every 4 years, okay? Now, if Tyson agreed to it, then.
no,
then
it's
that's
every
fine.
year.
No, I thought, hold
No,
on.
it's every year.
It's every year.
Okay, don't beat up the messenger. Now, it's my understanding, that's why I like to get an understanding, is that there's a portion of our budget that only comes every 4 years. Is that right, Mr. Henry?
No, it's every year.
It's every year?
Your operating and your salary budget is the same every year. This was in reference to, because the question arose that we have new commissioners that were, when they started, was put in a position that they had very little to start with. So the conversation was, well, do we want to try to make an additional allocation because they were started in a position where they had very little to start with. So that was the genesis of this conversation,
Right.
or the genesis of this
So
transfer.
let me ask you something. Am I hearing that you 3 gentlemen are agreeing to collectively, between the 2 of us, do $5,000 each office? That's what I'm asking.
That's what I understood.
I don't know.
So
if we do
it's
five,
10
but we'll do
Well,
So is it $10,000 coming out of 3 people? Cause that's not that ain't even the business savvy in me that makes sense. So that's why I'm trying to be very clear. Are we talking about still $10,000 to be split between 3 other officers?
I guess what I'm saying.
No, I hear what you're saying.
All right, but now let me elaborate on that with all due respect.
Please, like
Oh.
tone it down and then say with all due respect.
With all due
Because you was about to jump on me. Don't do
No,
that.
I won't do that. You'll never see me do that.
Okay, well, all right, you were close.
No.
All right. Okay, come on.
Between last year and this year, we've increased the individual commissioners' budgets by $14,000. So this commission has $14,000 more dollars for individual budgets than the previous commission did, which is a considerable amount. We also allocated, and when I say we, I'm going to say the county manager and general services, allocated a furniture account for you so that you would be able to buy new furniture to replenish your office. And at the same time, we came in, and something that was unprecedented, we haven't done before, is that every penny that was spent by the previous commission between the election time and when you took office, we put back into your accounts. So there comes a time when we've got to say, this is X amount of dollars that we have to spend. Let's live within that budget this year. And if we need more next year, we will present it during the budget process. That's all I'm saying.
So, Mr. President, respectfully, did all the commissioners receive like this little printout that I didn't ask for, but seemingly we got of what each commissioner spent? And that, did you get this little sheet? I'm assuming finance, did you provide this?
Yes.
Okay,
Did you give me one?
so hold
Did I get
on,
one?
hold
Yes.
on. So since we, because you have to clear for the record, especially when you're in a public meeting and either it's live or you have television media and print media that's present. So it's not, I just said that, Joe. So it's not that we are not living within our means. Let me just say this. When you speak of 14,000 additional dollars, I don't know what it was previously, but maybe those same folks who got voted out didn't do as much as we're doing. Now that's Scale's take on that, okay? In addition to that, if you look at this, the majority of this list makes up, who is that? Is he your present commissioner or your former commissioner? Yeah, I know.
Both.
Okay, I'm not voting. And a lot of what's on this list, hold on, I got it. A lot of what's on this list is the previous commission. Now, when I came in,
all due respect,
yes,
I've been out, so I've got that in my office, but I haven't seen it. This is community grant.
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. So when
I
it
haven't
comes,
seen that either.
well, I didn't ask for it. I don't think that the finance department has any favoritism going on. I just know that this is what. So here's what I'm saying. So we'll be factual. So when this is distributed out to the public, that we're very factual. Okay, is that whatever they did with that $14,000, I don't have a clue. I just know what we walked in the door with, which was minuscule, for lack of better words. It was.
What?
In terms of what we needed to operate our office.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
So that being the case, when we speak of living within your means, let me make it very clear. Some of what's on this paper are not even obligations that I committed to, but I decided it would be in the best interest still of the residents that we both served, because those were commitments that were already out there. So do I tell the citizens, no, just because you the new commissioner and the old commissioner promised some money? If that be the case, what happened 2 Tuesdays ago when we did that about Adamsville? I didn't commit to $5,000. I was told you committed $5,000, and because I like you so much, And because I think it's representative of this county, I said, I'll tell you what, we'll make good on it. I can't do the whole 10,000, but we'll do $7,500. And I think that was a good takeaway and a good extension of what I believe. Instead of it going left, we just resolved the matter.
But
So-
you're talking about apples and oranges here. You're
I'm
talking
not.
about community grants.
I'm
and-
not.
Yes, you are.
No,
This
I'm
is
not,
for your
because we're not
office
asking for
budget.
$5,000 more for community grant money.
Okay, but that's what you're talking about. So
Well,
let's
but
go back to
even with the
this.
office, what you're saying, Joe, is that you all gave us all of this so-called padded money, and I'm saying,
Hey, money.
well, you just said you did 14,000 and some change that is unprecedented. That means it's never been done before. So if it's unprecedented, that's what the word unprecedented means.
I think Joe's right. I think you're confusing
I'm not
operational.
confusing
No,
anything.
not
14,000
confusing.
relates to operational.
Okay.
What you're talking about is what Jimmy made mention of in our discretionary money. Added 50,000 because
Okay,
Commissioner Bowman spent
Okay,
almost
so
50,000.
then here's what
and
you
it
need to
made you
do.
right.
How about you listen at what he said, because what he talked about was both operational and he talked about community grant dollars. That's what he was talking about, the replacement of the $50,000.
Right.
Now, I'm gonna acquiesce to whatever y'all wanna do, cause I'm fine. One thing about me, I do know how to add, subtract, and multiply money. All you gotta do is be a consumer mathematician. You don't have to be a calculus major, okay? So he talked about them both. I'm addressing them both, okay? And all that I'm saying is, if we gonna have a little spout about this $5,000, and we telling you that our transition, unlike yourself, you had a very smooth transition. We didn't have one. We're not griping about it. We're only asking that if finance is willing to make it available to us, that if you would do that this one time, and then we can take it from there. But if it seems to be a sore spot, Mr. President, then we can release this and let it go, and whatever y'all want to do, okay? But I just want to be very clear, don't make it appear as though we're not being fiscally responsible. We had a different set of circumstances. We had two different types of individuals that we were dealing with. And so we were being truthful to say we needed the additional funding for our offices. You choose not to do it, or you saying that we're gonna scrap here and scrap there. All of that sounds good, but if you're not putting a number to it, then we just doing a feel-good discussion this morning. And I think that that's unfortunate, but I will acquiesce to whatever the pleasure of this commission is.
Commissioner.
Can I say something? When they brought it up to me, we was sitting at this table, it ain't like we had a private meeting anywhere. When I came here this morning, they said, that within these three, commissioners, they would give us the $5,000. And I wouldn't care where, they can put it out the sky. All I need to do, I need to buy supplies and things, I need the camera on my computer. So that's what I wanna purchase with. And so if y'all can do that, I welcome that money, if you can do that without going into the general budget. So if you can do that and give us the $5,000 a piece,
And
I appreciate it.
in some of those monies, I believe, Commissioner, will be available through IT.
But what you're saying, Commissioner,
But
is not what
no,
we're saying.
we've
That's
done
not
that
what we're
already.
What
She
we're
needs,
saying.
she needs
We've done
$5,000. We need $5,000. And it need to be put in the category where we can spend it on our office the way we want to. She don't want to be dictated to how she spend the money no more than the obligations in the places that we have with the other money. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So if we get it from IT, it's gotta be spent on IT.
Well, this is it. The transfer we're doing right now is just a transfer from finance to commission districts. It's not an overall increase in the budget. It will be just a decrease in finance's budget and an increase in each commissioner's budget, which is flat to the overall budget. So no increase in the county's overall budget.
Oh, no, and matter of fact, this is the discussion, Mr. Henry. I'm glad that you cleared this up, because I mentioned to another commissioner that I sat on budget and finance for 6 years before I got here. An amendment means that you have increased the overall budget. If you are transferring funds, that's totally different. And that's why I was just wondering, why was this such a big problem? You're only talking about $5,000, an internal transfer is not an amendment to the budget. So I know that we're playing on words, but the good thing about it is, it's kind of like when you're being taught a civics lesson in class, they do have what they call a dictionary in the back of the book if you choose to read it. So that you just said what I told another commissioner, that there is no amendment, because then that means that it would change the outcome of the overall budget. Am I right or wrong, Mr. Henry?
Both.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a shame when we have to play politics, because, you know, then folks start being concerned about their jobs and we getting upset and want to get you out the door, but that's what an amendment is. Amendment means that the bottom line changes. If the bottom line doesn't change, it's an internal transfer. If it is not that, then someone please give me your definition of what that means. And don't be too scared to talk.
I'm looking at the year-to-date expenditures out of that particular line item. District 1 has 7951, District 2 has 58.
That's not accurate.
Well, it just
And
came
this
off
is
the
what,
unit, so I hope
this
it's
is what,
accurate.
this is out of what?
This is out of the 18,000 that we had.
Okay. For our office?
For our office.
Okay.
District 3 has had 8859 come out, that would be me. Joe, you had 8978 come out of yours. Steve, you had 4762 come out of yours. So the total expenditure is 59% of the budget, with the largest expenditures out of 3 and 4. Everyone else seems to be in pretty good shape.
Been through it.
Pretty good.
I think they still have.
Yeah, I would just pull that off.
You might want to update it, because that's not accurate for my office, just so you know.
This is like for, computers, our copiers.
Copiers, yeah, you need copies. That's, when all said and done, the copier is the largest expenditure.
Right.
It's our largest expenditure.
That's-
And once we do that,
And,
it's pretty much.
but that figure is not accurate, because of the fact, that's what I have staff always updating me on what we have spent out. And at this point, if my memory serves me correctly, is it 18 or is it $1,100? Okay, all right. So that's why I have an elephant memory, and that's why I have someone that's good with math and knowing how to work this system. And anybody who has worked with Sumitra knows that she knows how to work this system. So I know that that is not accurate. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's $1,100 is $1,100, and these invoices still have yet to be paid. Now, if you all don't want to do it, I promise you, I'm sunshiny today. You ask me why I wore this year, because y'all not gonna worry me. Whatever you want to do, I am fine with that. Long as we got this $40,000 passed. If y'all want to take this $5,000 and have a blessed day, you over finance. I just look forward to seeing you for our next fiscal year's budget. Whatever you want to do.
Well, let me ask you this, 14,000 and you spent 1,100.
No, it's 1,100 remaining.
Oh.
Oh, I know.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you overspending.
No, I'm not overspending at all. I'm not overspending.
So, all right. So
You better be
spent
glad I like you,
13,000.
because I was about to get
These
you
are the
there.
figures you gave us last week.
Do what?
Have they been updated since last week?
Yeah, so what happens, Commissioner, what we gave you was what's in the system,
Well, how can we
but
give
each,
proper answers if we don't have updated figures?
no, they are updated, but each
Well, they
district,
are.
each district still has invoices that they have to put in the system. So we don't know when each commissioner district will receive an invoice, but soon as each district receives an invoice, if they put them in, you know, at as fast as they can, then what comes out of Munis is mostly up to date. But from what I understand, there are some districts that still have invoices that actually have not been placed in the system yet.
Okay, everyone has got a budget, though, and everybody knows how much money they have to spend.
All right, so this item 1 is not, we're going to cross out budget amendment. And now we're going to say, the motion is to shift funds from finance to Commission District 1 and Commission District 2, each for $5,000 for a total of $10,000. Do I have a motion?
Move the item.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
No.
Any opposed? No. Fails to pass. Travel and staff development, approval
So
of
you said
traffic.
did pass?
Did not.
Did not? Okay.
Travel and staff development. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right. Board of Equalization, Board of Registrars, Developmental Services, Z 2009-005. This is a zoning change, parcel ID.
Yes,
Waivers.
this is a requested zoning change from A1 agriculture to R1 single family. This is a situation where a portion of the lot has a remnant of A1 agriculture. The rest of the lot and the subdivision is R1. So this is just cleaning up what the zoning is in this one lot. And there was no opposition, and it was recommended for approval by the planning commission.
I move.
Second.
Now, on the book, it says there was opposition at the planning and zoning hearing.
Well, there was a question. There's a
Okay.
question relating to whether or not this would affect the other person's property, and it was determined it actually did not.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Z 2019-006, this is Mount Olive.
Yes. This is a request for a planned unit development on Newfound Road. They're requesting to put 71 lots on a 33.3 acre property. Now, in this case, they're requesting to cluster the lots so they'd be garden home style lots, leaving 60% of the site as open space. Part of the eastern side of the parcel is largely very hilly, so they will be protecting that, leaving a pretty massive buffer between here and the property that's here. There is county sewer available to this property. It is not far from the city of Gardendale, so it will be consistent with development in the area. At the hearing, there was a question from someone who owned this property back here because he was concerned that he would be affected by it. The planning commission felt that with the substantial buffer here that he would not really be affected because of the 60% open space on the property. So they did recommend approval of this zoning. They put in a request contingencies for a traffic study and a drainage analysis, and that the right-of-way improvements roads be approved by Road and Transportation. There'll be no development in flood areas, and something that's become standard now is an additional setback for garages to make sure that cars are not blocking either sidewalks or the road. And then the PUD, the final PUD plan would be subject to approval by the Planning Commission after the zoning is approved.
Mr. Williams, on the floodplain, it says a special flood hazard area, and it's got to either have a study to take place on the property, or all the floodplain must be subdivided. So is that going to be an issue?
Yes, that's standard language.
Okay.
Their development is staying out of the floodplain area. Because it is on the property, they will have to have a floodplain development permit. That can be handled.
All right. Do I have a motion on Z 2019-006?
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Thank you. Z 2019-007.
This is a property in the Adamsville area. It's another one similar to what we've had recently, rezoning from I3 industrial to A1 agriculture. They want to have horses on this property, and if you look at the property around it, most of this property is actually in Adamsville, but most of it in the immediate area is agricultural in nature. There are fields, there are animals, and so the Planning Commission, well, it is consistent with the plan. The Planning Commission felt this would be consistent with the uses in the area, and there was no opposition, so they recommended approval.
Z 2019-007. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion?
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Williams. All right, District Attorney's Office, this is do we have anybody from the DA's office? This is a application for resolutions to pay specified annual compensation that we split with the state for a deputy district attorney.
I'll move it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. EMA, I got a little short presentation by Mr. Coker, just a little bit of a historical perspective.
Hey, this is a little bit of our county history. This aircraft will be here in Birmingham next week. 75 years ago, D-Day, this was the first plane to drop paratroopers in advance of the D-Day invasion. The pilot, the co-pilot, the radio operator were all from Birmingham. The Air Force historian who found this aircraft, effectively preventing it from being scrapped, is also from here. So if anybody wants information, I've got it. I have a lot of aviation history in my family. That's why I have an interest. John Henry.
Where's it gonna be?
It's going to the 117th and then later through the Southern Museum of Flight.
In East Lake?
Yes, ma'am. It'll be out there. Actually at the airport, and I'll leave the information.
When will it be out there?
It arrives Tuesday and it'll be here for several days there. So again, I'm glad to pass on the information to you.
Will it be at the airport or at the Southern Museum of Flight?
They're going to move it because it'll actually do flights while it's here.
Okay.
So it'll be in several different locations.
Can't you take a ride in?
I'm sure for a fee, yes, sir.
Okay. Can we drop a bomb or two?
Yes, he looked at you. He looked at me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quaker. All right, General Services.
Yes, sir. This is
Joe.
a renovation construction project for the HR renovation for the 6th floor 2121 building and the 6th floor annex and 5th floor 2121 building.
How much have we spent over there so far?
The current MEP 4 project, phase 1 is a little over 19 million. This is the first build-out project that we've done after this MEP project, which is still in process.
The bids were
How much was
under
it?
budget.
That's what he asked.
This bid came in slightly under your budget, right?
Yeah, it's around $1 million under budget. The whole project is right under 4.2. That includes the furniture packages and the AV package.
So this will have all the telecommunication equipment for video and all that. So we're real thankful we got some good bids.
Okay, good. Do I have a motion?
Julian?
I have a motion. Sir. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Human Resources, Mr. Rodriguez. Doctor?
Good morning,
Good morning.
Commissioners. We have 3 items. The first one is a resolution granting our apprentices to carry over any leave accrued, in addition that they go to another apprentice position because it's an advancing program, or they become permanent. The second and third items are employment agreements from candidates who were identified through our assessment process. One is Mr. Mahesh Garapati for Deputy CIO and IT Governance, and the second one is Mr. Philip Nigel Roberts for Deputy Director of Community Services and Workforce Development.
When will Mr. Garlapati and Mr. Roberts come on board?
The 8th of April is the desired date.
Now, this apprenticeship program leave accrual,
Yes, sir?
you got an apprentice,
Yes,
that in an apprenticeship, I guess, is somebody coming in to train?
correct.
Okay.
And they are temporary, their employment status is temporary, and typically when you're in temporary status, you cannot, your leave doesn't move, your accrued leave doesn't move with you. And in this case, it will move with them.
What's the accrual rate?
The accrual rate would be the same as any other employee. I can get that to you, but it's 1 day per month
Okay.
each of sick and vacation. And I'd like to add that we have a full-page ad for our apprenticeship program in the Birmingham Times this week. And it's a very, very nice spread, so full-page ad.
Human Resources, items 1, 2, and 3. Do I have a
Move
motion?
the item.
I have a motion.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Personnel Board is acknowledgement only. Do we have someone from Personnel Board? I have 2 items. GKR Venture Technologies Voice over Internet Protocol and Birmingham Barron's contract. Do I have a motion?
Well, I have a question.
I may not can answer, but.
Yep, help me out. All
Wait a
right.
minute, wait a minute, we have somebody here? Oh, there.
No, I'm talking about number 2, for
Oh,
this
no.
Barron's contract.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that I read this correctly. Is the amount of this ad $27,000?
That's the requested amount. Now, I don't know how much the ad actually was, but I would assume that's the,
So for the personnel board, is that you, Mr. Oliver?
Correct.
Okay. Is that, this $27,000, is that for 1 ad, 2 ads, 3 ads?
The item is on the agenda for acknowledgement. The board annually through a variety of different efforts. We are tremendous exposure through which there is perhaps one of the singularly most effective ways that we get the word out, that there's certain kinds of opportunities. We have a public safety night that we receive our police and firefighters through. It's not a singular ad, it's not a way of things. So we've been doing this for a few years, and the analysis is it works very effectively.
And I won't challenge your effectiveness, but I will ask, do you all also advertise with some of the local minority-owned mediums?
We have a wide array of ways we expose jobs in the system.
Okay.
Demographics of tenants are quite wide. And we advertise depending on the nature of the job and the exposure and services that we get in this. So the answer is yes. We are very broad and diverse in how we approach marketing jobs.
So I get it that it's only for acknowledgement, but I just wanted to make sure that I asked in terms of when I saw that amount, you know, are there any other entities that may be receiving this kind of money for their services? That's all.
The board has gone from years when the board did 0 marketing opportunities, when the board would be criticized for doing that.
Which is silly.
To a period where we do that. And our strategy is not simply to divide the money around. What we want to ensure is that we're going to get the best out in the system. So it is local. It is at points nationwide when we have jobs that we don't have to go
And then on an offline note, I would be interested in knowing some of the minority-owned media that you use based upon whatever job assignment that you think best applies. And so that I'd just like to see what that listing of entities look like.
with minority-owned entities in the room right now, but our focus is to ensure that we leverage effectively to get the talent in here. So
Yeah, in other words, you want to advertise to the right demographic. I mean,
we have no intent bias or strategy that would marginalize or
Sure.
not include anybody.
Sure.
If anybody coming to the table
Sure.
must demonstrate they can effectively.
Right.
So anybody with an interest, and I talk to people in the room about the possibilities, they can talk to me because we're doing something.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner, I would like to say that our team does a great deal of outreach in the community with promoting our positions. We have a team of 5 recruiters who go to local job fairs. We get a lot of exposure. I can send you a summary of the work that we've done for community outreach. I'm happy to do so.
Okay, I'm just interested in knowing how the county is spending their dollars with regard to, I'm not here to try to tell you what to do, but Mr. Patel has just noted that's on my radar. That I'm very interested in knowing that we have minority owned, and let me just be very frank about it, that we have black owned mediums that are providing a service to this county in whatever fashion that we need to have done. And I'm not just speaking of Birmingham Times, I'm speaking of all outlets, that whether it be radio, print, or otherwise. Make sense? All right? Go ahead, Joe.
Move items 1 and 2.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I have three community grants. City of Gardendale for a book drop. City of Kimberly for senior citizens, and Moulton Center in Leeds.
Before we move on those items, Mr. Chair, I did have one question, which I'm going to support all three, Mr. Chair, but I did have a question as relates to number 3. Is that like a typo, Mr. Henry, as relates to that agreement amount?
Or is that an infrastructure?
Well, that's a good question. It went in as an infrastructure and came out as a community grant, so, for the legal. So,
I'm just asking, I'm not trying to find fault. I just want to, are we looking at the
For
right
the city of
budget?
Gardendale?
No.
No, the one that's about
The
the.
Moulton Center.
Number 3.
So I just want to,
The Moulton Center is an old school that was given by the city of Leeds to the community.
no, it's
of
really
Gardendale.
it's more about infrastructure grant versus community grant. And I just wanted to see in terms of what we are what you're really providing through your district. Is that coming,
It's a community grant.
It's a
Grant.
community
It's not a for
grant?
infrastructure.
okay.
All right?
So it's just a misprint.
Yes. Where?
Right here, Joe, that's what I'm saying. I just, if
What-
it's a
what's the
misprint, I'm
misprint?
fine, I'm going to support it
What's the
regardless.
misprint?
Because we didn't have $150,000.
50,000, that's what he's saying. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, yeah.
But you said it started as an infrastructure.
It started.
It started as an infrastructure, the legal department changed it to a regular project.
Yeah, we were trying to put a roof on there.
Yeah.
They didn't change the
And
internal.
No.
they can still take it
I'll
out.
fix that.
No.
No, it'll come from the
It
other.
comes to the 100.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's amazing how I can ask one person for an answer, and I got 4 or 5 folks talking to me. I'm just trying to figure out, so basically, we're at the 100,000. I'm trying to figure that out. So that's what it is, and I'm really
Yes.
just talking about for more futuristic purposes.
Right.
It's the 100.
The 100.
All right, very good.
All right.
Move
Do I have a
items.
motion? Second. Do I have a second? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Concludes my report.
All right, Information Technology and Economic Development Committee. I've got an appointment to the JCIDA for Mr. Michael Moran, who is a former president and CEO of oh my gosh, what is it? Corner. Shoot.
Now you
Okay.
doing all
He's a
this-
former CEO and president.
There we
you doing
go.
all this talking on me, and then you don't even have your stuff together, huh?
You got him confused. You got
I'll
him-
have him
you got- you got
Capstone,
him all
Capstone Development, Capstone. And he is also, his bio is in the backup, and he is also in the latest BBJ as one of the executives of Influence. I brought the article if any of you would like to.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item 2 is Innovation Depot. We passed this last time. This is really just an administrative formality to make sure that we do get the president to sign off on it.
So, hold on. before
Well,
move
you
it.
can, we can have discussion. I'll move it.
I don't want to have a discussion, I'm just going to make a statement and then I'm done. On number 2, for the record, I will say that I do, I have a problem with the idea of when I asked on last time about that 5% decrease in minority-owned participation. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna abstain from it. I won't do like you just did and vote against it, but I'm gonna abstain from it. That is a concern for me, and I want that to be on the record, that if we're going to spend county dollars, anything that we invest in, we should make sure that it is properly representative of what the demographics of this county looks like. And to tell me you got 4 businesses and then, you know, the person couldn't even tell me what the 4 businesses were. And I've been to Innovation Depot. We'll make it a point to go back down there again personally, because I know that we don't have a true representation of what this county looks like. I knew that even with the city.
Right, so I believe you answered your question. And as a matter of fact, I think we're at 60-some-odd%.
No,
In
he
this
didn't
current-
answer the question.
in this
What I asked was, he said there were 4 businesses, and he could name all 4. I still meant that because I know the makeup of Innovation Depot. This is nothing new for me. I came from the city of Birmingham, and we give money to Innovation Depot, sir.
Actually, it didn't.
I'm sorry?
He actually looked at the budget. He has not gotten any money from the city of Birmingham for a number of years.
No, that's not
So
true.
I'll tell you what.
Hold on, I'm not gonna debate the issue. I'm just telling you for the record, the city of Birmingham has given Innovation Depot money for years. So that's the end of that. That's why I said it's more of a statement, that's a concern for me. And I wanted to be duly noted.
Okay. Do I have a motion on item 2?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any abstentions?
Yes.
Any nays? All right, passed. Next is the tax abatement for a brownfield redevelopment for Navarre Group. I walked this around to each of your offices quite a while back. This is on First Avenue South, and we'll take up a good portion of that block with an apartment, mixed use that will have restaurant on the lower floor. And Mr. Trey Hill is here, who is representing Navarre for any specific questions. It is a $57 million capital investment in the property, and they are asking for a 4-year abatement of non-educational. And as our review has made it very much appreciate they're looking at what they actually need and not just going to the cap and asking for 10 years. They actually took a hard look at it and came back with a good number. So, any specific questions?
Can we see the pictures?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Trey, you got pictures, man.
I have 3 pictures.
All right.
Hopefully we blew them up big enough. I have here with me Frank Reese, who is a senior vice president of the Air Group, Atlanta-based developer. And Frank might be better to describe the project, where it is, and we have a couple pictures of the development, 3D print as well. So, Frank, you want to talk about Novair Group and the project?
Yes, quickly, my name's Frank Reese. I work with Novair Group. We're a multifamily developer based out of Atlanta. We've been coming over here to Birmingham since last summer, looking to develop this site. And I first want to say how wonderful everyone at the city and the county's been to work with us, and I really appreciate their efforts, and we're very excited to be here. So I'll just quickly walk you through our project, and if you have any questions, please let me know. As Trey indicated, we're looking to develop this site, which is approximately 4 acres. It's down by First Avenue South, and then 12th Street and 13th Street. Really excited about the idea of linking this whole area with Railroad Park, which is an incredible asset you guys have. Where the Denham building is being redeveloped, we have our project, and there's Baker's Road. As Trey indicated, we're looking to develop, I'll show you in a second, we're going to keep these 2 warehouse buildings here, which is about 20,000 square feet, which we're going to redevelop into office space, retail, restaurants, and so forth. And then the back side of the property here, up against the railroad, we'll be developing apartments and a parking deck. So, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so again, just to get your bearings straight, here's the railroad, here's First Avenue, 12th and 13th. So these buildings along First Avenue will stay in place. This part of the project will be the new development, which is comprised of 3 structures, 2 of which here primarily will be apartments, and then this structure actually will be a 6.5 level parking garage. This structure here will be on the first floor, will be our leasing office, our amenity spaces, and so forth. And then above it, it's 5 stories. The 4 floors above will be apartment units. This other structure, larger structure, is 5 stories and it's all parking. Excuse me, all apartments. One thing I will point out to you guys that is a challenge of the site, but we've worked through it to help us add some amenity space here. But as some of you may know, there's a stormwater water culvert that actually runs diagonally through the site. We're actually not building on top of that. We're only going to be putting landscape and hardscape on top of that. So that gives you kind of an idea of like a pool and some spaces there. This is the rendering of this building here. We spent a lot of time working with our designers. We really want this to line up with Railroad Park. So when you're standing at Railroad Park and you look down this road, you'll see this point right here with the building. So we're really excited about that, and that thinks that adds to the area. It really connects well with the rest of everything that's going on in the Parkside district. So.
The lawyer thing doesn't work out, I think I could replace Dana White. So if the commission's agreeable, I'd like to spend just a minute talking about the impact of this project on dollars and cents to the county. It's going to be a driver of both temporary construction jobs and permanent jobs. The project's construction schedule is roughly 23 months, during which time the project will create about 120 construction jobs each day. Novera Group has partnered with Birmingham-based general contractor Doster Construction, who have worked closely with Michael Bell, Kim Bivens at the BCIA to develop an NBE DBE participation plan with a goal of at least 27%. We certainly appreciate Kim and Michael's support. I think Michael, in a prior meeting, said that the efforts to date have been textbook. Once the project is placed in service, the 20,000 square feet or so of commercial space that Frank identified on First Avenue South are going to create about 100 direct jobs. And then there will also be 8 to 10 permanent jobs that will help manage the development itself. So it's a good job generator, and the county can expect to generate over a 10-year period about $4.7 million of direct and indirect property tax, sales and use tax, business license tax, and sewer impact fee revenue. And then on top of that, the apartment tenants they're likely going to be young millennials who like to eat out most of their meals, who like to enjoy entertainment, which just happens to be 2 blocks west of Regents Park and the breweries down there. So I think that number that I cited does not even include that indirect spend for all the tenants. As far as support goes, the Mayor's Office of Innovation and Economic Opportunity have been very supportive of the project. We had a committee of the whole meeting on March 20th where we asked the council to consider their brownfield property tax abatement request. They unanimously consented to put it on this morning's council agenda, and that's why we were late coming over from City Hall. On top of that, Mayor Woodfin supported the Downtown Redevelopment Authority's approval that was granted that day of a sales and use tax exemption to allow Doster Construction as the DRA's agent to purchase construction materials on its behalf. And the city is putting up $150,000 of roadway infrastructure improvements. All told, $1.1 million of commitment from the city. I saw Ben Leisman with Rev. Rev has been instrumental in helping this project get to where it has been. As I mentioned, the BCIA is certainly supportive as well. So with that, what we're here before you today to consider the county to grant a 2-year brownfield property tax abatement. The council, the city council is, a 4-year county property tax abatement. The city council.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
Like, oh, man.
The city council is considering a 2-year abatement for us right now. And
And
Hey Trey, I think it's important to note that you asked for 10, but because of the infrastructure work they're doing, which amounted to 150,000+, that's why they only granted it 2, correct?
That's right. So just a breakdown of the abatement request. The state would grant 10 years, the county would grant 4 years, and the city would grant 2 years. In dollars, what that translates to is the state would be $490,000, the city would be $463,000, and the county would be $690,000. When you tap on the additional incentive that the city's providing, it gets to about $1.1 million. And so, there are a lot of challenges that this project has to overcome to make it a reality. It is in a desirable location in the Parkside district, but there's ever-rising construction costs. There's an inability to raise market-driven rental rates. There's that culvert that Frank mentioned that goes right through the middle of the site that causes some density limitations. On top of all that, we're here today because this is a brownfield project, and there are approximately $500,000 or so of environmental cleanup costs that have to be undertaken just to get the site ready for this. And so I think this is a great project that falls in line with the purpose and intent of the brownfield property tax abatement program. And we would respectfully request that y'all consider the 4-year abatement request on Thursday at your commission meeting.
Couple questions. What is the brownfield? What caused it to be a brownfield? What was there before the?
That's a good question, Commissioner Knight. So at the turn of the century, it was actually a steel fabrication rolling mill.
Okay.
That's part of it. It's also done an auto repair shop.
Okay.
And so those are the main contributors.
Lancaster?
It's Duffy's.
Okay.
I don't know if it's Lancaster prior to.
LeMaster.
And it was a bakery too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot of industrial manufacturing use on the site.
I have a question. Chair, excuse me. If someone can tell me, how many brownfield sites do we currently have under our purview with the county? Does anyone know that?
Brownfield?
Brownfield.
I think the JCEIDA had one that they had redone. And we're currently talking with Alabama Power. They're developing a database of brownfield sites as well as available sites. And then the RPC had at their annual meeting specific brownfield discussion. So when we go to talk to each one of the municipalities, we go with each commissioner to talk to your mayors and council members. That's one of the things that we want to do. Plus, ADAM will come and support designating brownfields. They'll come and drive the cities with us and designate. So I think there's a lot that we need to do to designate which ones are, or potentially. So I think that's a work in process.
So it sounds to me like there is no such information that the county has within its jurisdiction a certain amount of brownfield space. Like I know the city of Birmingham did, where we would know, for example, those U.S. Steel sites that were out toward Ansley and some other places that we knew we had those. So we don't have that kind of information here.
Right.
And so we would have, if I'm hearing you correctly, we would have to rely on these third-party sources such as Regional Planning Commission, and some of these other entities to be able to get. Okay, because I'd be very interested in moving forward. To me, those $600,000+ sounds like a lot. As long as it's not unprecedented, then I look forward to seeing more projects of the same in various forms. So that's not directed at you, sirs, okay? That means that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. That's why I'm asking, and I want to know. In fact, I'm gonna help you to get that information, so you and your staff to be able to find out how many brownfields that we have access to, and I look forward to us providing the same type of abatements in all forms, various forms, and so at the appropriate time, I'll move the item, and we'll move on from there.
Second.
All right, any other questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you.
I have an announcement. The Mayor's Association will be meeting in the Commission Chambers tomorrow to sign the Good Neighbor Agreement. And hopefully, I believe there are 22 mayors that are willing to sign on. So other than that, I hope everybody got a chance to see Walter Burroughs on American Idol. You didn't vote for him.
Oh, that's right.
And I'm gonna say something you rarely hear me say.
War Eagle, right?
You got to know that.
Happy,
All right.
happy
I guess everybody.